but we've added some new components in. I'm going to start out with a question. It'll wake everybody up, I hope. How many of you like money? It's not a trick question. Great. The way money started to me was fascinating. The world started out in barter. I've got chickens, you've got milk, let's trade. But there became a problem of portability. If you wanted chickens and I don't want your milk, we needed portability. And the world of portability started with, do I have to point this in a certain direction? We're broken. I always start out my presentations usually saying I break technology, and that proved it. Anyway, here we go. The world of money actually started out with the Moneta shell, the little portable currency of the seashells of the South Pacific. And you'll see why that's relevant. Our company's called MonetaPro, and what we are is we're a private B2B exchange for what's called global corporate barter. And a lot of people may not have heard of that. You say, well, barter, what is that? How big is it? It's a $17 trillion market of non-cash trading worldwide. 72% of Fortune 500 companies participate. The average transaction is over $1 million. So this is a B2B platform, and you might say, well, what do companies trade? If you're not familiar with it, I know Sandy and some of the media guys, but it's all kinds of things. It's cars for computers, it's media for hotels, it's airlines for toilet paper. And these companies do all kinds of trading, but right now, still to this day, it is manual. It is phone calls, fax, email, calling around trying to find somebody that wants your item and wants to give it back to you. It's very difficult, it's very cumbersome, and you have to repeat it each time. And you might say, well, if it's so difficult and it's such a big market, why don't they just trade for cash? It's pretty simple. Imagine all of you guys are the CFO of Ford, and it's the end of the model year, and you've got $1 million worth of cars left. And your option is to discount it 20% on the lot, sell it and pay taxes, or wholesale them at 50%, or liquidate them at 10%. Each one of those are a diminishing value proposition. Instead, you could call your buddy at Dell and say, hey, I'll give you $1 million of cars, you give me $1 million of computers, and we'll call it even. Moving excess inventory is one of the biggest problems for major corporations. That's why they do corporate trade. And so what it does is it provides three things. One, it's a higher retail value. It's not a discount market, it's not a wholesale. I'm going to give you $1 million of my product, you give me $1 million of yours. We will book it at full retail. Second, it improves cash flow. If I can acquire $1 million worth of products without spending cash, that cash remains on my balance sheet, in my SWIFT account, earning interest. And third, in the US especially, it's a tax-free transaction under what's qualified as a 1099-B. So there's a lot of reasons companies do it, but right now there's not a solution, and that's what MonetaPro's created. We're a closed marketplace for corporate barter. And what that means is, a lot of people haven't seen this, our system's built, technology's up, we're final stages of beta testing, so we're at the edge of launching. But by corporate, I mean it's enterprise level. It's divisions, departments, users, you set rights and authorities. Corporations don't like single user sign-on. You can't use Amazon because a division manager can't sign in Amazon and list corporate assets. You have to have rights and authorities and levels for these corporations to feel comfortable using an enterprise system. We simplified the selling process. It's basically click, add a product, it's into the marketplace, streamline the buying. So now you can list assets, sell them, go buy something else. So in essence, what we've created is what's called a multi-party trading solution. And we do that by creating what we call a G-Buck. So now Ford can sell cars, receive this G-Buck, which stands for a business usage credit. It's like a store credit. And instead of having to negotiate equal value, they can use that credit and buy tires and batteries and parts and shipping, something from a third party. So we've created an internal settlement credit. And I want to be very clear. The G-Buck stands for a business usage credit. It is not a blockchain credit. It is not a token. It's not all of the questions you normally get asked. It's an internal ledger. It's a ledger credit. So what that means is it equals $1. It's immediate financial settlement. Think of it like a store credit in Amazon. If you had an Amazon store credit, that credit doesn't fluctuate. It can't be stolen. It can't be used outside of the network. It only settles internally, and it's we've built that type of system for corporations. Proof of market, massive, massive, massive white papers. I was going to say massive size of the market. There's a 1,200-page white paper talking about the problems with intercompany trade and transfer pricing. IBM's got a great one talking about distributed ledger and how blockchain can help automate and solve some of the problems. Deloitte & Touche, KPMG, all of these big consulting firms are talking about the problems with corporate trade and how it needs to be automated and simplified. And that's what we've done. So when we looked at the solution, there's three main problems. One is just the automation. We've built a marketplace kind of like Amazon on steroids. But underneath there were two other problems, and blockchain is a way to elegantly solve that. Problem one, proof of ownership. I have to prove I transferred an asset. And problem two is my inventory systems need to be updated. And so what we mean by that is if you actually received an invoice, that invoice doesn't do anything. It doesn't talk to anybody. If I transfer $1 million worth of cars, my inventory system, my asset management system needs to be updated. So we're using a private blockchain into a data set that can then integrate to the information in what's called a fixed asset module. SAP, Oracle. So now you actually prove that those 1,000 cars are gone. But over and above that, you have to prove ownership. If you just have 1,000 cars missing and your auditor comes in and you can't prove where you transferred them, that's fraud. Somebody's going to go to jail. So we're using blockchain also just in a simplified way of a smart contract to prove transfer of ownership. It's a very simple, elegant solution for blockchain. It is private, and that's what corporations want, but it solves some major problems. So as I said, the system's built, it's up and running. Anybody that wants to see it, test it, we'll walk you through it. Management team's in place. We've got some companies lined up. We're going to start trying to do a beta test in pilot probably by the end of the year or probably first quarter, depending on their decision process. Experienced management team, industry-specific advisors. I'm not going to go through all of them. Some of you guys know a few of these people. Jay Sato ran Sony, rolled out a couple billion-dollar divisions. Quasi ran Sean Combs, Digital. Rick Prendergast built the Salesforce for American Express. Our COO, Igor Barash, he actually started his company, Cyber Defender, in his garage in LA and took it all the way to NASDAQ. Have you guys ever seen the commercial, Max My Speed or Clean My PC or Speed My PC? They're these funny commercials. That's what Cyber Defender was. And then from an advisor standpoint, we're actually global corporate advisors. Former head of First Data, Eric Greenberg from Science, CMO of Kodak, former guy from the Federal Reserve. So really interesting, but more so senior executive team. And then a couple people are targeted. I mean, I know everybody likes to point to Michael and Transform Group. The targeted opportunity with what Michael brings to the table for us from a corporate PR standpoint is going to be relevant. Richard Titus with ARC, we're at the point where we're starting to move into customer acquisition. We were just in Barcelona with Niels and his group presenting under Blockchain Solutions World. So wrapping up, the offer. We're doing a $35 million ICO. We think that's where we'll end up. We're not sure. We've already closed our private round at $1 million. The pre-ICO round is $5 million. We've got $2 million left at 25 cents. We're in discussions. The next round is a $10 million, what we call strategic round. The strategic round is going to be corporate venture. So it's a little different structure because it's got to be equity for these guys. So we've got a different structure on the strategic side. And then at the end, we think we'll do a public $20 million ICO, but that's off in the future, depending on sort of where the markets shake out. Anybody that does want to invest at the 25-cent round, there's $2 million left. And we created what I call a double appreciation bonus. Appreciation 1, if you invest, high five, thank you. But appreciation 2, we know that crypto fluctuates. And not everybody likes to invest because they think the crypto is going to go up. What we do is if you invest, we mark the crypto at any point within 45 days, and we accredit you to the highest point of the crypto. So if it's down, we take the risk. If it's up, we mark you to the highest point in those 45 days to equate out to your investment value. So then you don't have to wait and see what happens. We protect your upside. Couple exit options. MonetaPro is unique. It's kind of a utility token, but it's not. I say it's more like a restaurant card. If you buy a $25 restaurant gift card, and in the restaurant you can spend $100 when you walk in, our token works the same way. A 25-cent token is returned to MonetaPro and we give you $1 worth of purchasing credit inside the system. And it's kind of funny, I joke with the attorneys, I can guarantee every one of you a 300% rate of return. Attorneys hate when I say that. What I can't guarantee is there's going to be anything in the market you want to spend it on. I can convert you all day long, but if there's nothing in the market, it doesn't matter. So the risk profile is, can we bring on cars and computers and airlines and media and cruise ships, things that you might want to buy? And then second, the other option is out to the exchanges, and we have great relationships with quite a few of the exchanges that want us to list when we're ready. We just completed our token generation. We did an ERC20 token. We looked heavy at graphene and DOS and a bunch of these others, and we just weren't comfortable with it yet. So we went ahead and did the token generation. Wrapping up 35 million, 5 million is where we are, 25% token. The SAFT was done with Wilson Sassini, 6-month hold. The token generation is complete. Couple milestones, like I said, products done. We're looking to start rolling out end of the quarter, first of the year. Any of you that know CFOs or purchasing or procurement guys in airlines, media, finance, consumer electronics, those are our customers. We'd love to meet them. Last, we created something called a benevolence program, a corporate benevolence. The way G-Bucks works is if you're a company and you're trading assets and accumulating credits, you're taxed only on the value of what's in your account at the end of the year. And some of these companies we're talking to do billions of dollars of trades. So it's not inconceivable to think there might be 10, 20, $30 million left in an account at the end of the year. We're talking to them about donating those credits to nonprofits and charities and possibly shifting billions of dollars of purchasing credit into the philanthropy and nonprofit world. And of course, companies are self-serving. They'll get the tax write-off, they'll get the benefit from the nonprofit, and they get the press. So they don't do anything without being self-serving. We just created a unique way for them to do it. And some of you guys know this. We've been fortunate. We've won quite a few contests around the world. Steve and me, MonetaPro, if you have an interest, let me know. Thank you.
Fantastic. That's fantastic. Question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
On the ICO page? So at MonetaPro.io, there's an ICO page, and the password for any of you that want to see it is MP, capital MP 2018. MonetaPro, so it's capital M, capital P 2018. That should let you in, and in there is the white paper, the SAF, the tokenomics, a 3-minute video, a 17-minute presentation, the product demo, a bunch of interviews. There's all kinds of information in that investor profile page. Anything else? One more?
Yeah, great presentation. One thing that got my attention was, could you actually maybe have the coins as an asset that could be traded, or that could be swapped? I mean, I don't know.
So the question was, can you have the coin as the asset? They're purposely separated. The internal credit we control. We're basically like the Federal Reserve. So we have to control monetary value, deflation, float, inflation. By keeping the credit separate, we can base that against a US dollar. All of the companies, when they convert in, list against a US dollar. So it creates stabilized pricing. The token externally, if it's on an exchange, will float. But what we will do is allow an onboard ramp in and out.
Or what if it's like a utility token? It's like asset backed. That would be, I don't know, that would transform into some, like say if it was a Coco coin, and it was just
at some point we've looked in a long tail future. We may allow other currencies to convert into G-Bucks, where you could then use that credit to buy physical assets. If I wanted to buy a car, I wouldn't have to convert my crypto to Coinbase to something. I might be able to convert into a G-Buck and buy a BMW and just stay crypto.
Cool, very cool.
So we're looking at onboard and offboard ramps, but that's a little further down.
Got it, love it.
Cool. All right, thank you.